Okay, cards on the table. The first artist I ever really remember enjoying was Eminem. The first song I ever listened to from him was Cleaning Out My Closet. It's a song that Eminem shuns now, but at the time, my mind was lost in this. Like, listening to this song, listening to him bend words after school, it was such a complete story, and it gave me so much of his background. I was enthralled by that song. So I became a diehard Eminem fan. And then we get 8 Mile, which blew my mind even further. It's a film about a guy just trying to make it. It's an underdog story in the truest of ways. Now, it's semi-autobiographical. It's not like every single thing happened there verbatim, but it gives you an idea to the true facts of who Eminem was growing up. It's pretty damn close to the real thing. And to me, the way the film ends is damn near perfect, with Jimmy going back to work instead of doing what most people would do, and you win the rap battle, you go off and party and you have a good time, but instead he gets back to work because he understands this is a process and I need to put the work in. He tells his mom right before the final rap battle when everything is kind of wrapping up, which I think I'm going to do a review on 8 Mile, now that I think about it. It's a really, really good movie. Oscar nominated, actually. But anyway, he tells his mom, like, I think I'm going to save the money to go record my own album, and I'm going to try to do things the right way. And his mom even says, like, I think that's the right idea to do it that way. So, no, overall great film. And anyway, that helped make me, I won't say diehard Eminem fan. I'm a big Eminem fan. But, like, some of the people in this documentary, so stans or overzealous fans, it's a documentary about the hardcore fans that Eminem has. It's also kind of named after the song that he made back in, I want to say 2000, or was it 2002 when he made Stan. Anyway, it's a great song that talks about an overzealous fan who becomes too obsessed, who ends up unaliving himself and his pregnant girlfriend, which is horrible to hear, but then you need to listen to the song. It's one of the rare times where a 4-act structure for a song is allowed to happen, and it really, really works. It's really good. I do strongly recommend it for everyone. There's a sequel called Bad Guy, which is good. I prefer, there's like an underrated version from a guy by the name of Nate about Matthew, but anyway, I'm getting off topic. Anyway, that's it. Stans is about overzealous fans and their obsession with Eminem on some level. So I'll be honest, I was a little hesitant to watch this film. This documentary does not have a traditional 3-act story structure as most films would do, but instead it encapsulates the career of Eminem from a distance. How each career move Eminem made, how it affected his fans, and how they felt during certain moments of his career. Whether it was his renaissance when he came out on MTV, when 8 Mile came out, he was the biggest artist in the world, when he lost Proof, his overdose, his addiction, his relapse, rehabbing, all that stuff. Bear in mind, the fans in this documentary do vary, right? We have a fan all the way back from 1999, an OG fan, all the way to a fan that was made back in 2015, who wasn't even born when 8 Mile came out, and she became a fan after the fact. To me, at least, each fan on some level speaks to that era of Eminem and how his music spoke to them and helped them through a hard or difficult time in their life. Now, my knee-jerk reaction is cringe because a lot of these people speak so highly of Eminem as if they know him, as if he's almost a myth. Now, don't get me wrong, I do love him as an artist and even as a person on some level, how down to earth he is, but I would never say his music saved me. But then I realized maybe that's because I never needed saving exactly. Various fans give their own stories or depictions of surviving abuse, emotional and physical abuse, the loss of loved ones, and how listening to Eminem's music helped them cope or deal with it, knowing that someone else went through their struggles. It makes it easier to survive their own. I dare say listening to Eminem's music is like listening to a great modern day poet, as is any musical artist. But it helps the survivors know that someone else went through what they did and came out stronger on the other side. It gives them something to reach. And that, I can't really fault. That's the difference between an Eminem fan that listens to his music as motivation or as a coping mechanism versus someone who watches anime or listens to opera music to relax and breathe. It's normal on some level. Now, don't get me wrong, there's still such a thing as fans that are way too obsessed. Eminem recounts the last time he went to the mall with Haley and how he realized he'd never live a normal life again because of how many people were following him. It got to a point where he was running and he was almost scared. Which, by the way, folks, if you see someone famous out in public, respect their privacy. Like, that's just a rule of thumb. Just making that point real quick. And this is where I thought the documentary was going to be about sycophantic fans, but then you see a peek behind the layers to each person, and you see a more and more human aspect of each of them. These are not just blind, crazy fans. These are people who went through their own struggles, and that's what makes them endearing to you as a person. Initially, we're presented with these people as these are two hardcore fans, but then as it goes on, you begin to understand why they care about M so much, or why they love his music so much. Don't get me wrong, I would never, I'm a big fan of Eminem, but I would never get a tattoo of Eminem's face. That's a bit far for me, but like on a much smaller level, like I get it. There's also been a number of documentaries recently that have come out that I've been radically against. Now, it used to be the case that documentaries were made independently of the subject's input, right? For an example, let's talk about like Mr. McMahon from Netflix, a docuseries that was made without WWE or Vince McMahon having the final say on the final cut. And that documentary series was scathing. Now, that's why, on the other side of the coin, it's why like The Last Dance with Michael Jordan was so skewered. Jordan had final say on the final cut, so do you really think they're going to explore all of his negatives or all his faults? No, they're going to present things from his point of view. They marginalized Scottie Pippen's input with the Bulls and how incredibly important he was to making sure that the Bulls could win. A more independent documentary might have pointed out the fact that the Bulls had an all-time defense that helped Michael and allowed him to just go and shoot and score. You need both. Now, I mention all this as a setup to point out the fact that Stans does not shy away from the lows of Eminem's life, including the divorce, the overdosing, the lukewarm reception to relapse, and his need to grow as an artist. They do talk about the ugly stuff, and I respect them more for it. It didn't go as in-depth as I would have liked. I wish we had a full docuseries on Eminem, actually. I don't think we're ever going to get a full one, but a documentary is good. A full docuseries on Eminem's life, as far as like his childhood and then his first album, second album, third album, and like going in depth of what each song was about, what was going through his mind at the time, going through each era, I think that'd be awesome, but I severely doubt we're ever going to get something like that. But maybe that's a project for another day. That said, for now, Stance is a documentary that's interesting, but it didn't give me a lot of anything new. If you're an Eminem fan, you probably know most about what he's talking about already, but maybe that's besides the point. That said, for me at least, Stans is going to be a 6 out of 10. Rewatchable, maybe, but honestly, I would recommend maybe getting his 2008 book. It's a little more in-depth from what I remember. But yeah, what do you think of Stans? Let us know down below. We'd really appreciate it, and we'll catch you all next time. We'll see everybody.